Hey everyone, it's your boy Denmark. I know it's been a while since I last posted, but I'm excited to show you what the world's most hygge country has been up to. Let's start off with a few of our favorite things. Salty licorice, minimalist design, avoiding eye contact, and leaving babies outside. I've also partnered with some of the top restaurants in Copenhagen to bring you the best in Danish cuisine. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. The Michelin stars didn't. And last but not least, green energy, baby. Everyone's getting into it this season. Time for me to go outside and take a selfie with a wind turbine. Are you coming? Hashtag Denmark love. What are you doing? I thought you said we were doing a video about how Denmark is an influencer for the entire world.
No, we're going to do a video about how Denmark has influenced the world.
What's the difference?
Well, it's not going to be what this just was.
Fine, let's go sit down.
Okay, so now let's talk about how Denmark influences the world. First of all, Denmark is ranked as one of the happiest countries on earth due to its high levels of life satisfaction and well-being. This is in part due to the country's strong economy, generous social welfare system, and an emphasis on personal freedom and quality of life. The World Happiness Report, which is produced by the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, ranks countries according to variables such as GDP per capita, social support, health, freedom, generosity, and perceptions of corruption. In addition to these metrics, Denmark also enjoys a strong sense of community, a high level of trust amongst its citizens, and a culture of respect and acceptance. The country's also made a conscious effort to prioritize mental health, allowing citizens to access mental health services and support. With Denmark's success, countries around the world are looking to understand and implement these same concepts for their own citizens with policies that focus on economic and social stability, providing access to quality healthcare and education, and strengthening the sense of community and trust. Truthfully, I'm not even sure if the average Dane would say they're necessarily happier than anyone else, but I have to say, all these programs do create a sense of comfort and kind of reduce the existential stressors of life that makes Denmark pretty damn happy.
Yeah, that's true. And I think a lot of that is to number two, the welfare system. So Denmark's highly developed welfare system is designed to ensure that all citizens have access to basic services such as healthcare, education, and social security. This system is funded through a combination of taxation and public spending, and the system is designed to promote social cohesion and reduction of poverty by providing a basic level of income and services to all citizens. The welfare system in Denmark also provides a range of services like childcare and elder care that are designed to meet the needs of its most vulnerable groups. The system also provides incentives for people to take part in the labor market through accessible education and retraining and job search systems. The welfare system in Denmark is seen as a model for other countries and an example of how social welfare can be provided in a way that's both effective and affordable. The Danish social welfare system was one of the first examples of social democracy and a welfare state in the world, dating back to the turn of the 20th century. And as Americans, Denmark comes up often in political debates as an example of the model that many Democrats want to emulate in the United States.
Yeah, another thing that people want to emulate in the U.S. is how Denmark is a leader in renewable energy sources and sustainability due to its commitment and investments in developing green technologies. For example, Denmark has invested heavily in wind energy, and now it's become a major exporter of wind turbines, and it's a leader in the development of offshore wind technology. Denmark's also implemented a number of policies to reduce emissions and increase energy efficiency with subsidies for renewable energy sources, carbon taxes, and tax subsidies for electric vehicles. The commitment to sustainability has resulted in Denmark being ranked first in the world for its share of renewable energy sources. Its total electricity consumption has 2/3 coming from renewables like wind and biomass. And I can say we recognize company names like Ørsted and Vestas as they show up in American news as we're ramping up wind production in the U.S. And traveling around Denmark, you can certainly see wind turbines from almost every corner of the country.
Now, another issue that Denmark is influencing is gender equality. It long has a history of promoting gender equality in its policies and practices, both domestically and internationally. Denmark was one of the first countries to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in 1983. Since then, the country has continually sought to ensure that women's rights are respected and protected. The country has a robust gender equality strategy, which includes affirmative action initiatives, legislation to promote equal pay, and better support for women in the workplace. Education and awareness campaigns are also used to promote gender equality, and the Danish government invests in women's rights and gender equality in its foreign policy too. They promote gender equality in the UN, and they provide development aid to countries working to improve the status of women around the world. Denmark has also been a leader in gender equality initiatives in the EU. In 2012, the EU adopted a strategy for equality between women and men, which was inspired by the Danish experiences. Its goal is to ensure that all EU member states promote gender equality and ensure equal rights, opportunities, and outcomes for all women and men. You can truly see the results in all areas of Danish life. 7 out of the 14 major political parties have female leadership, and I noticed this especially in the workplace with mandatory paternity leave and childcare as part of the social welfare network. It really helps to make an equal playing field for all genders.
Another area where Denmark is definitely considered to be an influence in the world is bikes. It's regarded as one of the most bike-friendly countries on earth due to its comprehensive cycling infrastructure and progressive cycling policies. The country has made a sustained commitment to cycling since the 1970s when the Danish National Bicycle Plan was launched. This plan included the implementation of bike paths, roundabouts, bike lanes, bike parking, and other measures designed to make cycling safer and more convenient. In addition, the government's established numerous initiatives to help promote cycling, including tax incentives for cyclists. All these initiatives help make Denmark a leader in cycling-related infrastructure and policy, inspiring other countries to follow suit. I noticed this on day one living in Denmark, where I obviously learned not to walk onto that extra sidewalk because it's not a sidewalk, it's a bike lane. And I quickly bought a bike and picked up the habit because it makes life easier to get around and stay active at the same time.
Now, another area where Denmark has really had an influence in the world is on refugee policy. Since the 1950s, Denmark has been a leader in refugee resettlement and in setting new and progressive policies for refugees around the world. Denmark has a long history of accepting refugees and has made significant contributions to refugee protections. In the wake of World War II in the 1950s, Denmark was the first country to sign the United Nations Convention on the Status of Refugees in 1957. Since then, it's provided a safe haven to those fleeing persecution and war, and it's been the leader in resettlement and protection of refugees, welcoming thousands from countries around the world like Somalia, Syria, and Eritrea. So while Denmark's influence on global refugee policy hasn't changed, the policies themselves have changed. More recently, Denmark has adopted new and controversial refugee policies that have been influential in other countries as well. For example, Denmark has implemented new restrictions on refugees, such as the 2015 Immigration Act, which limited the rights of refugee families for family reunification. These restrictions have been mirrored in countries like the United Kingdom, where the government has adopted similar policies in an attempt to limit the number of refugees entering the country. One particularly controversial move is an international agreement to resettle refugees from the Middle East and Africa in the country of Rwanda. This agreement, which was signed by both Denmark and Rwanda, allows for the Danish government to transfer refugees to Rwanda in exchange for financial aid and humanitarian assistance. The refugees will be relocated to Rwanda to receive necessary medical care, education, and job training, which is good, but this agreement is part of Denmark's long-term effort to reduce the number of refugees and asylum seekers that are living in Denmark. The government has stated that the agreement is in line with its policy of creating a balanced and sustainable immigration system, but the agreement has been widely criticized by activists and human rights groups who claim that refugees in Denmark are not really being given a fair chance to stay in the country after living here for years and starting to integrate into Danish life.
Another area where Denmark is certainly an influencer in the world is in the creative arts. It's a leader in creative industries due to its world-renowned design, architecture, and fashion. The country has a long-standing tradition of craftsmanship, which is reflected in the quality of its design and fashion. Danish designers are well known particularly for a minimalist and functionalist style with simple lines and clean silhouettes. This aesthetic is also reflected in the country's architecture, which is characterized by an emphasis on simplicity and functionality and can be seen around the world. The iconic Sydney Opera House was designed by Danish architect Jan Utzon, and more modern architects like Bjarke Ingels and Henning Larsen have led projects all around the world. In addition, Danish brands are recognized internationally. Names such as Echo and Royal Copenhagen, and iconic designs such as the pH lamp and the egg chair that you simply recognize anywhere you see them. And Danish food culture is becoming influential as well, with new Nordic concepts famously pioneered by Copenhagen restaurant Noma, now considered to be one of the best restaurants in the world. Now, I haven't been to Noma, but I'm certainly amazed by how many Americans and foreigners that we talk to ask about it. So we know that its influence is far and wide, well outside the borders of Denmark.
Now, another big area of Danish influence around the world is economically. Denmark is a highly developed and prosperous country in terms of its economy. It's a major exporter and a leader in renewable energy, as we mentioned, as well as pharmaceuticals, shipping and logistics, and many other things. Some Danish companies have an outsized influence on the global economy, and you may know them, like Maersk, the world's largest shipping company, Novo Nordisk, the third largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the world, and the largest wind turbine manufacturer, Vestas. Also, my personal favorite, Carlsberg, the world's third largest beer brewer. Feel free to sponsor my continued love and my support for Danish beer. But anyway, Denmark is a major contributor to the EU economy, has many strong trade relationships with countries all over the world, and is a major advocate for free trade. Trade has been core to to Denmark throughout its history, from Viking raiding, trading, to bacon and butter exports to the UK and even shipping today. So even though the Viking Age has long ended, there's plenty of reasons why you shouldn't mess with Denmark. But if you want to know them all and learn even more about Denmark, you'll have to watch this video and click right here to watch that now. Don't forget to subscribe and see all of our weekly uploads. And thanks for watching. #DenmarkLove. Hi.